Hey, you are listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Welcome to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast with James Wilson and Rob Eickhoff.
Semi-seconds in automatic minutes, finishing to diminish the position that was given risen.
And we're back. Episode 40.
Episode 40.
Yes! I don't know why I feel so like we've accomplished something, making it to 40. So, the next one is 52, but
That's the next milestone.
we're here, man. We've been doing it. So, I got another pre-training podcast today. We got our Grumpy Guy Fit.
I think I kind of like this. This is just week number 2 of doing it pre-training as opposed to post.
Post-training.
I kind of like it.
Me too. I'm going to admit, man, sometimes post-training is a little tough. I'm sitting there like...
Brain's a little fried.
Brain's a little fried, man. Because, we've got 3 hours of... between Grumpy Guy Fit, and then we drill for an hour, and then we roll. And that's usually a good hour. So, and then, coming and talking more jiu-jitsu. It's fun. It's a full day, but that's why, like, last night when we were talking, I was like, man, you want to maybe record beforehand again? And we'll see. I think it's a good time.
We'll see. And run with it for a while until we come up with another fantastic idea.
Exactly, man.
Change it.
Exactly. That is our MO here. So
That is exactly how it goes.
So man, we were talking a little jiu-jitsu before we hit record, and just talking about what we were in training last night, putting in some hard rounds, and but had some tough rolls.
Had some good rolls, and that kind of leads me to, like, I don't really have any notes, but, like, the first mental note I have is, like, I kind of took it easy last night just because I was just wore out from the week, dude. It was a long fucking week at work, just tired.
Yeah.
And so, I got 6 or 7 rounds in, and I just called it good. And I spent an hour stretching. Like 45 minutes to it. I got that Ramwad app.
Yeah.
And then every week they got a warrior routine, which their normal routines are like 20 minutes. The warrior routine's like 45.
I like how they throw the tough name on it.
The warrior routine. And so I threw that on, and I did that. I was still stretching when you guys left. I stretched for, like, that whole routine was like 50-some minutes. And I think that's just what I needed, man. I did that, went home, ate, slept.
Yeah.
But, so that got me thinking, because then I was listening to... It was probably Joe Rogan, and he was talking about, like, Eddie Bravo. Like, he's been through back surgery. He just had another knee surgery. He just had shoulder surgery. And, just thinking, like, how hard jiu-jitsu or combat sports in general, but, like, jiu-jitsu and wrestling are on your body.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you're not spending a lot of time on recovery and paying attention to shit, you're going to fuck yourself up. You're not going to be in jiu-jitsu for the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to... That becomes your... recovering between training becomes an obsession. On some levels, it's like, man, because it sucks going in and training and you're sore and tired, and it's... so recovery becomes a big aspect of it. And, man, you see, like, that... I mean, people get hurt. I mean, you mentioned it a bunch. Like, that's, like, one of the worst things that can happen, especially in your first couple years of training, is get an injury that forces you to take time off, because the odds of you coming back after that are, like, much lower than, if you hadn't gotten hurt. So, but yeah, like, that injury prevention aspect of it, a lot of that comes from, like, your recovery, like I said, your mobility and sleep and nutrition and hydration and everything, man. That's why it's a lifestyle. Like,
it is truly a lifestyle. And I think you've said it before. I mean, butcher exactly, but taking you have to make your recovery or your physical well-being a priority. If you don't make it a priority, it will make it itself a priority.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I
don't know if I'm wording it correctly.
No,
yeah. It could, if not, you'll get injured.
Get injured, right?
Then all of a sudden, it is a priority because it limits all your other activities.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Whether you realize it or not, you need time off to recover. And if you're not taking it, your body will find a way to force you to take time off, like get sick, some sort of overuse injury. So, yeah, I mean, you see that all the time. And, I mean, that's one of the big I guess, kind of criticisms of like CrossFit, and especially in the early days, was that like you're just breaking yourself down, and yeah, maybe you can get away with it for a year or two. I used to make the joke like, man, you don't find a whole lot of old CrossFitters. Like, you don't find people that have been doing it for 5-10 years and just following the CrossFit system. At some point they had to like realize like, all right, I've got to start modifying this to accommodate for my recovery and not just smash myself. And I think, whatever. CrossFit's evolved in some ways as well since then. But man, yeah, just in general, that mentality of more is better, and working hard is where the results are coming from, without realizing that no, you're fucking yourself up when you work out.
I mean, there's a time and place for it, and there's a time, and you have to. Man, it's all just such a learning thing. Like, you have to know when, okay, I'm just being a bitch and I can push through, or no, I should really chill. And then that's just how I felt last night. I practiced it. Like, I got a few decently hard rounds, and I wasn't going real fast or real hard. And then I was like, that's it, man. Like, I just knew. I knew myself. Like, all right, I haven't tweaked anything yet, but I wasn't quite there. Like, I was just spent mentally. Physically, I was feeling it. I was like, all right, man, I'm going to call that good. Like, it's not like I missed training.
Right.
I definitely would have liked to go another, 4, 5, 6 rounds. But then I was like, man, what am I going to benefit myself? Or am I going to be better spending 45 minutes stretching?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Let's just fucking stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Be ready for hard day training today and tomorrow.
See, that's the thing too, man, is taking into account what your training schedule is going to be. So you knew like yesterday was day 1 of 3 days of training in a row. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, there's no reason to just kill yourself then, because by Sunday you're going to be just buried. And so yeah, you got to take that stuff into account, not just blast yourself every time you train. So no, I agree. I mean, especially working with Shiloh, doing her sprint training and running, because that's a lot of a lot of the speed training is about that quality aspect. Like Charlie Francis, who's one of the most famous sprint coaches, probably had like huge influence on a lot of the training practices today. That was Ben Johnson's track coach, but he would call workouts, like he would listen to the footsteps, like the footfalls of the runners, and if they started to get heavy, that's it, workout's done. So even if you had more planned, and so is that quality over quantity aspect. And man, there's something there, like you just piling in the training hours without looking at the quality behind them. I don't know, I see a lot of people spinning their wheels that way. Because even if you don't have, this applies to even if you've only got 2 hours a week to train. Like, what's the quality of that 2 hours? Like, what's the quality of the work? What's the quality of your focus? And as those things start to diminish, either because you don't have a practice of doing that, and you just go into every, class, and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to go through the drills, and, there's no real, self-evaluation going on, or you got a ton of time to train, and you're just, you train so hard that you get to the point where, again, it's really hard for you to focus and physically and mentally, and that's not good quality training either. And again, there's a time and place for it, but you're trying to hit that sweet spot where you're getting the highest quantity of the highest quality training possible. And realistically, if you're going to err on the side of one, you should err on the side of quality instead of quantity. Like, I'd rather call it off one round too early than one round too late.
Yep.
And
yeah, I agree with that. You are better off most of the time when you're about to call it, for the night, training or the day, whatever, to feel like, okay, I could do another round or two. And it's very tempting because it's fun.
Well, we know, it's like lifting weights. We know this, right? Like,
it's very tempting. It's fun, but you're better off, like you say, calling it a round or two. Or like, all right, that's good. I feel good. Leave a little bit left in the tank. You don't just have to fucking just murder yourself. Like I said, I think there's benefit to go the other way once in a while too. To like just keep doing rounds until like you are just dead, and then like, okay, now I'm actually done.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes too, just because I think I need to mentally. Sometimes I gotta fucking just smash myself. But yeah, you're better off stopping.
There's definitely around too much. Like,
yeah.
Dude, a few weeks ago, like I had gone. I think it was a Sunday. So it was like, man, I think it'd been 5 days in a row. That's right. Somehow, because I try to do 4 days a week. I try to do 2 days on, day off, 2 days on. But it inevitably happens that every once in a while I'll just end up going in more than that, which is fine. But I think it was at the end of like 5 days in a row of training, and I had reached that point of like I was done. Like not a round or two early, like I was exhausted. I was done. And I remember Kevin just like told me and you to go one more round because I think he'd been showing me some shit like how to whatever, and so he's like, all right, you guys go. And that was, dude, I buried myself. It was so bad. I mean, I spent probably like the better part of the next, week to 10 days recovering, like coming out of that hole. And it was, so yeah, you can, if you push yourself, like knowing that you can do it is great. But yeah, man, there's definitely a physical price to pay. And if you're always just trying to do that.
And the older you get, I mean, we're not spring chickens.
No.
And when you bury yourself like that, it does take you a long time to fucking come back.
Yeah.
To 100% anyways. I mean, of course, you could come back and train again the next day or two if you wanted, but you're not going to be at your best.
Man, physically and mentally you're dull.
Yeah.
You can just tell like your nervous system, your brain just isn't recovered, and it can't. And I mean, that's the problem. That it's not even your body, right? It's your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain fuels everything, and if your nervous system's exhausted, I mean, it's fucking exhausted. Like that's when you start getting yourself in trouble. It's not really the exhaust your muscles, exhaust your cardio system. Those things can recover relatively quickly. It's the nervous system, and that's where, because there's so much tension. It's such a high tension sport. There's so much movement and movement skills involved in it. It's such a nervous system intensive sport that like that's where you really, like if you start burying yourself there, and that's where like I'd taken myself to that physical edge, and that extra round just like depleted my nervous system was done. And you can feel it when that happens. Like I said, like, there's a physical feeling to it, but that's what you got to be careful of. And that's where, you can walk that line and push it physically, but you got to know when you're starting to bury your nervous system, because that's where you start getting into overtraining and, and then you get into the whole thing. Is there really such thing as overtraining or under recovery? And I tend to believe that it's a like most things, it's a combination of both. But, yeah, I don't know, man. You got to remember too, we're fucking, you're almost 40, I'm 40. I joke like I'm a 42-year-old purple belt in a 20-something-year-old black belt's world, right? Like that's, like jiu-jitsu is a 20-something-year-old black belt's world. And I know and so you see these guys training, and again, a lot of it's media, but you hear, because that's the message, like if you want to be a world champion, you have to train every day, several times a day. Train hard. When you think you're done, train more. You never quit. You go, you know what I mean? Like this is, am I wrong?
No, you're right. That is the message that gets put out, and that's what people think has to happen.
Yeah. And so it's and then I think that's why, even though we know better, we still hear that, and we live in this world where that's the context that we're having to, because again, man, like taking a round off, like, you have to have a good reason for it, like you don't do that unless XYZ or whatever. And so there is this mentality, and it's like that in, a lot of sports. I mean, most sports really, like no pain, no gain. But so people get caught up, man. It's a fucking Instagram world, and people get caught up trying to live up to people's Instagram posts.
As you're talking, like I see my meathead side come out all the time, because I do very rarely take a round off.
Yeah.
Once, class is over, we set the timer and we slap hands and we start training. Like just open rolls. very rarely, dude, will you see me take a round off. Like, I'm going to keep going round, until the end of the training session.
Right.
And I just...
No, what's your motivation for that? Why do you do that?
Because I don't want to be a bitch.
See, that's interesting because I do the same thing, but my mentality is I just love rolling. This is so much goddamn fun that I don't want to take a fucking round off.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I know that physically, from a physical training standpoint, that's not the smartest thing to do.
Right.
Like 5 minutes on with a minute rest, just going and going and going. Like,
dude, I love that challenge though, man.
but it is. So there's that challenge there, and I just love it. I just love rolling so much that I don't want to sit there and watch other people do it. Like, I want to do it, and so the motivation, like the result is the same. Like, I don't take rounds off, or I hate taking rounds off too. But my motivation isn't like because I'm trying to physically accomplish something, because we've talked about it before. Like, if you really want to mimic competition training,
you should
be 5 minutes off with a minute rest. That's not competition.
You should do like a match and then take like 2 rounds off
at
minimum.
Yeah.
And then do another match. That would really mimic competition training.
Yeah, I mean, like competitions, but again, though, that doing the hard rounds, not taking a round off, that gets sold as this is how you physically prepare for competition. And like the reality is it's not. No. Like, just from a real, just pure coaching specificity standpoint, that's not it. I mean, really, I was talking with somebody the other day, like most of the time when you go to compete at these venues, they tend to be air conditioned.
Yeah. And
they're a little cool. Yeah. I mean, I got to admit, like that's a little bit of a physical stressor, because we're used to training in hot. Because hot makes you tougher.
I like hot. I love training in the
Again,
hot.
I don't mind it. Yeah. Like we've talked before, like actually, I don't mind the hot. Like I've kind of thrive in it. But the reality is, training round after round without taking a round off in a super hot environment in no way mimics
a tournament.
Nope. At all. Like you throw on the fucking air conditioning, have people stand around not knowing what round they're going, and then okay, go, and then all right, and now you're gonna take. I'll let you know, and like that would be so you're that there's that unsure, like when am I going? Like that would be mimicking it, but that's boring as fuck. Like who wants to waste an hour doing that, man? Like let's just slap hands and keep rolling. And so, but yeah, it's just knowing like why are you doing what you're doing, which I mean includes like why are you taking this round off? Like is it to be a bitch, or is it like because physically you'll have a better round, you need a rest, blah blah blah. There's a little bit of both, See,
I mean, there's a little bit more. It is part of the meathead, trying not to be a bitch. But I got enough experience in this game too to where, like, I can structure it. Like, I can go with somebody new and I can take a round off. Like, I'm still going.
Yeah.
But as long as the person's not a gorilla and they're fairly new,
right?
Like, I can still be. It's like an active recovery round.
That is true. Yeah.
I do a lot of those.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not taking a round off, but I am. Like, I'll have a hard round, like with one of our killers, and then I'll look around and be like, all right, that round won't be as hard. Like, give me a rest round.
There's definitely some of that going on.
I'll
for
go
sure.
with him, and then I get done with okay, that's my recovery round. All right, now then I go back to one of the killers. I definitely do that.
Yeah, a little built-in recovery.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, you walk in and it's just like, oh,
there's no rounds.
There's no easy rounds, man.
Yeah, sometimes that you can't do that.
So I mean, so I hear what you mean. I do the same thing, but it's just an interesting look at why we're training. It's just such an interesting thing, man. Like what we want to do, what our society is communicating to us to do versus what is really best to do, and trying to balance all those things. So, we're raised in a no pain, no gain, more is better. I mean, everywhere, right? Like everywhere. It's
more is better.
More is better. And so like that's the mentality. But actually it's interesting as we're talking about it a little bit. I'm reading the book Amusing Ourselves to Death. So Hamilton Morris, when he was being interviewed on the Joe Rogan Experience, he mentioned it. And it was a book written in the mid 1980s. And it was basically predicting like everything that is going on and is wrong with our society. And it basically, at the heart of it, is that television, and then eventually, see, at the time, like when he wrote it, like the computers were out, but we didn't have the internet and shit. And so maybe it was like the early 90s, whatever. So, but the premise is that we used to live in a world that was ruled by delivering information through talking, usually long form speeches and conversations, and the written word, which again used to be like a long form, way of communicating information. And so and then like television comes along and it communicates information differently. It's set up more for the, than the computer and the internet, and it's set up more for the quick soundbite, right? Like the news of the day, just like, go from, okay, what is going on in my community around me? How does this affect my life, in politics? Information used to have like a real context and a real, there was a meaning behind it. And with the advent of television and computers and shit and the internet, that changed, and like information started to become disconnected. Like, why the fuck do you care what's happening in, like, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like some other country, like how does that affect you, right? Like the old saying, like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? It's like this, what does this information have to do with anything? And if you think about it, like most of the information that you get from television and from the internet, especially like social media, is that just real quick soundbite headline. It doesn't really have any context or meaning. It's more for entertainment. And so it starts to change how people think and process information. And so now we live in a society that instead of, but again, we've talked about, like, this is why podcasts are so great, and I've mentioned it too. It's a technology that's allowing a renaissance of how we used to communicate. And I think people are starting to realize that this television and computer society, this little sound bites and entertainment and fake news and things just to that doesn't really have any context. It's not natural. It's not how we're set to think and how we're, set to process information. And so anyways, I'm about halfway through the book, but a big part of that is the whole Instagram, social media, training philosophy thing, like we were talking about. Like, this is the world that we live in where you don't know the context. You see this picture of someone on Instagram training hard and they're like, putting in the rounds for blah, blah, blah. And it's just that moment, right? You've got this picture of this one moment in time, and you've got this one sentence, and it doesn't really have any context or meaning, but you're looking at it, and you process that information differently, right? Like now you start to think like, you create meaning and context for it that's not really there. And a lot of times it's like, I need to be trying to do this too. I don't really know why, but it just looks like everybody is. And so I want to be able to express myself this way too. And so, because back in the day, you used to want to be a good writer. You used to be able to speak well. You know what I mean? Like, these were skills that you sought because you saw other people communicating this way, and this is the way you wanted to communicate. Today, what do kids see? How are we communicating? On fucking social media with pictures and sound bites and emojis. And it's like, dude, no wonder we're like, they can't communicate in a, one-on-one long form fashion. But that's a big part of what's behind a lot of the misinformation in the training world, is this soundbite, picture out of context, reality that we're creating for people, and then they're trying to live up to it. Right, and whether it's the house or the car or that you're seeing, or some stylized lifestyle shot showing, hey, how cool my life is, or whether, yeah, I'm training fucking 8 times a day and I'm eating perfectly because that's the only thing that you see, and now I think I got to live up to it. But man, it fucks people up without that context. But the book's fucking fascinating, man. Like I said,
what's it called?
Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Seems like I remember him talking about that.
Yeah. He talks about Aldous Huxley in it. Like, basically, he wrote a book. Aldous Huxley's the guy who wrote Doors of Perception, which is like that real famous fucking book that's influenced a lot of the psychonauts and whatnot. But he also wrote another book that was, God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a lot in the vein of like George Orwell's 1984. But instead of having Big Brother take over and rule everything, we basically succumb to just a dumbing down of society, and almost like idiocracy, or is that
Idiocracy?
Idiocracy, right? Yeah. There's just we allowed the television and to take over and start to change things. So, but yeah, like I said, man, it's really eerie. I mean, he predicted everything from like, you know, Trump being president to just the whole red state, blue state thing, and just how when you decontextualize information, you know, he was saying, for example, I thought this was really interesting. Like, do you think that a 300-pound obese person could be president today? Like, in all honesty. Like, I know we try to live in a PC world where we're going to go like, well, you know, we like to get, but just your gut reaction. If you see this person, right, he's on television and you see this, like, people have a tough time with that Chris Christie guy, that fucking...
That's exactly what I'm picturing.
Okay?
And
imagine like another 100 pounds on him. Do you think that dude could actually be elected president today?
Probably not.
Okay. We had one, though. Like, William Howard Taft was a 300-plus pound obese president, but he was president in the time of typography, like where it was, you know, you didn't have television and pictures and stuff, and so you knew who he was based on his words. You knew who he was based on his speeches, the content of what he was saying, not who he was as in like how he looked and what his favorite dog is and what he had for breakfast and, you know, what his favorite sports team is. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you know people today. Like, that's how presidents are in the age of entertainment. These people have to entertain you in some ways. And the entertainment is these little factoids that really mean nothing in the grand scheme of things and really distract from the real conversation. But that's how you end up with Donald Trump as president, because, you know, he looks the part, he's good at getting on television and delivering sound bites in a short period of time, and you know what I mean? Like, that's...
He's good at manipulating all the knuckleheads.
Yeah, man.
He's super good at it.
But he's really good at entertaining them.
Yeah, he knows how to get people fired up.
Yep.
He knows there was a lot of people that didn't like what was going on in politics, so he knew he'd just come in and start making fun of them.
Yeah.
And it was so blatant.
Dude, he was perfect for it. Like,
yeah.
he was the age of entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, he was in... So now I think, you know, people are seeing, like, holy shit, some of this stuff is going too far. But yeah, like, I mean, we've said a bunch of times, that's why you see the resurgence of podcasts, because people crave this long-form, you know, type of conversation that has context, that we're able to hash out ideas, and... You know, it's a much more natural form, the way that humans have communicated for much longer than what we think of today. Like, man, I know for myself, like, just coming from the marketing world, like, you're told that when you're writing something for marketing, you have to assume that who's reading it can read at a 3rd to 5th grade level. That's what you're told. Like, do not write above your audience. And you're told that your average audience reading this reads at basically an elementary school level. And so you're literally told, like, don't use big words, challenging thoughts, things like that. You have to dumb down and speak very simply, like you're speaking to children, to the average person today, because that's...
Because they'll check out. If someone's got to think too much about something, they'll check out.
That's where they're at. They expect to be entertained, not challenged. And it wasn't always the way. Like, when you look back throughout history, like, there was a time when people wanted that intellectual challenge, and they prided themselves on being able to both read and communicate either orally or through the written word, challenging, intelligent thoughts. And man, we've just fucked that up. I mean, again, like making videos, you're told, dude, anything over 3 minutes, you're fucking losing people. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like you're basically told, like, the marketing world out there is, again, like, are they shaping society or are they basically responding to society? Well, I think there's a little bit of both, but they're literally approaching how they're communicating with people from the assumption that they have no attention span and they basically have the intelligence of a grade schooler. And so this is who we're going to communicate to people on that level because we don't want to challenge them in any way. And it's interesting. You know, it is what it is, right? Like
it's scary.
It is scary, but that's why, like, I've always struggled, like, when trying to write sales letters or emails or stuff, like, I like to use big words. I busted one out on you, like, cogitate. And you told me you had to look it up. You're like, I had to fucking look that one up. I busted that one out in a text. So I like to, I read a lot when I was a kid, and I'm the same way. Like, I felt like your ability to communicate, your ability to understand, have a large vocabulary so that you can understand a wide range of thoughts and being expressed by people in different ways, and then being able to synthesize and then communicate those things to people. I just thought that was, that was a mark of intelligence, right? But that's not really the mark of intelligence today. Your mark of intelligence today is like trivial facts. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I know this.
Just being able to regurgitate shit.
Regurgitate shit. That really has no context or meaning.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how we've talked about that before. That's how the school systems are set up. They're teaching you just to memorize shit.
Yeah.
You're not really learning it. You're just fucking memorizing.
Intelligence today is defined by your ability to memorize and regurgitate facts.
Dates, events, whatever the fuck it is.
Right, yeah. Not form and argue coherent arguments, not be able to, think on a, objective level. I mean, there are obviously some elements of that, but when you look at what the overwhelming message is from school, a lot of it is memorization of facts and being able to regurgitate them. And that's why most people get out in the real world and they're like, I don't use shit that I learned in school. That's not totally true. You're using a little bit, but the bulk of it, you forget what you're using because you just remember the bulk of what you learn. Like, this is ridiculous. I just learned shit to learn shit. I learned shit to pass a test and get a grade.
That was it.
And that was it.
That was it.
And now at a cocktail party or when I'm out with some friends, every once in a while something will pop up that I can sound smart because, hey, did you know that blah, 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 blah. And then they're all like, damn, James is so smart because he knows this shit. And it's like, no, that's not a real true mark of intelligence, like, historically speaking. That's more of a modern society mark of intelligence that I don't know if we want to continue to encourage.
Well, man, that gets me thinking. That's got to be going by the wayside now, because whenever you're having a conversation with somebody and somebody spits out some fact or whatever, if you have your phone handy, you can just pull that up. Or, you got, how many times, we've been in the
God brain. Yeah. I call it your God brain.
Yeah, you be in a conversation, and we're like, oh, hey, when did this happen? Or what movie was this guy in? Or whatever the case it is. Not, before, like the way we operate our conversations here, we don't fucking look up anything. We just go for it.
Yeah.
But like usually when you're out with your friends or whatever, like, oh, somebody will pull out the phone, like, oh, I'll look that up,
Well, it's because they're trying to settle an argument or fucking whatever. Yeah. But again, it's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Why are we having that conversation? Yeah. And why are we taking the time to look it up? Because, that doesn't, if someone's arguing, like, we're having some, talking about history and someone's like, well, I thought this happened before this, and it's relevant to the discussion. Like, okay, that's great. Yeah. Now we have access to that information and now we can actually, fill in a spot and now we can continue our conversation. But that's not how a lot of it's used. Like you said, it's more like, I thought this dude was in that movie.
Yeah.
No, he was in this movie. Oh, I don't know, man, look it up or whatever. And it's like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, it's like a, it's like a duvet. Like, why do I know what a duvet is? How does that help my arm bars?
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help my arm bars.
It doesn't help your arm bars at all.
At all. So
I think I run so much through that arm bar filter in my life. I'll be doing something and be like, how is this helping my arm bars right now? It is not.
It is not.
Let's nix it.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta do shit that doesn't help your arm bars, but
You do.
it's gotta meet a pretty high hurdle to get over that. But that's funny, man. I know that's like totally become a fucking saying with us now. That and the checking the 2 boxes, fucking someone up and not getting fucked up.
Not getting fucked up.
That's pretty much the Grumpy Guy philosophy.
Those 3 things.
Summed up right there.
Are you getting better at fucking people up? Or are you getting better at not getting fucked up? How is this helping your arm bars?
There you go.
Those are 3 filters you have to run everything through.
Yes. Run your training through the first 2. Is this working to fuck someone up or not get fucked up? And run the rest of your life through the other one. Is this helping my arm
How
bars?
is this helping my arm bars?
And if you do that,
You're on the
you
good
might make
path.
some better decisions.
That's awesome.
At least in the jiu-jitsu context. So, So anyways, yeah, check that book out, man.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one, and really, yeah, got me thinking. But it shed some light on like some of the psychology and what's going on, and really, like, I don't want to keep feeding into that. So, with my emails or whatever I'm doing, because I still do the Bike James thing, and we're doing the Grumpy Guy thing as it expands. I think that, yeah, fuck it, man. We're gonna speak to a more intelligent audience. I know we're sitting here like cussing and saying stupid shit, but every once in a while I try to appeal to a higher than a 3rd to 5th grade intelligence level.
We try.
I
I make the attempt. I seriously do. It may not sound like it.
I like to have fun at a 3rd to 5th grade level.
That's
I think
right.
adults don't know how to have fun, but
I learned a new word from an Uber driver. This past week, I had to take my vehicle into the shop.
Yeah.
Just to get some shit done, and so I had to Uber around for a day or back and forth from work. And this lady dropped that. I mean, maybe I'm a knucklehead for not knowing this word, but she dropped the word acrimonious.
Acrimonious.
And she kept talking. She dropped. I can't remember the conversation exactly. I don't know how we got into it. We got into a pretty interesting conversation. And she dropped the word acrimonious, and I let her keep going for a minute. And I was like, hey, I gotta stop you. I was like, what the fuck does acrimonious mean? And I was like, oh.
So what did she say? So it has something to do, it has something to do with an acronym. Like it's a...
No. Well, maybe I'm fucking it up. I think acrimonious was,
or maybe not. Acrimonious.
like a disagreement, like, that relationship ended acrimoniously.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're not well.
Not well.
Yeah.
I think that's how she explained it to me.
Yeah.
I didn't ever go look it up. But once she explained it like that, I was like, it made sense in the context of the conversation.
Yeah. It's just interesting though. Like that's a perfect example of like contextualized information versus you just throw that word out there, and it's like, what the fuck does that mean? But you put it in some context, and it's like, okay, I can start to figure it has a different thing. So. Anyways, yeah, that's a good word. I've read that one before. I don't use that in my daily conversation.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I think that's what it was.
No. Now that you say it, because that's exactly how I read it. Yeah. So.
And that's how she explained it, because she started giving me like a Webster's dictionary explanation of it, and then she stopped herself. She's like, well, and then I think that's exactly her explanation. She's like, okay, let's say. And then she gave like, hey, that relationship ended acrimoniously.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go. All right.
All
Fucking
right.
A, Uber driver dropping knowledge on me.
Which is funny, man. There's a lot of words like that I know what they mean, but I couldn't bust out a Webster's definition of it.
Yeah.
But if I read it in a sentence or I hear someone use it in a sentence or in a conversation, like I know what it means. But that's an interesting thing though.
I do that sometimes. Like, yeah, like
that's a skill to be able to do that.
I there's a word that I know that I'll use in a kind of a bigger word, and I'll use it in a conversation, and then I'll be replaying that conversation later in the day in my head, and I'll be thinking to myself, did I fucking use that word right? Because then I'll ask myself, like, okay, what's the Webster's Dictionary version of that? And I think in my head, like, dude, I don't know. I couldn't fucking tell. If someone was to ask me exactly to explain that word, I couldn't do it. Like, so then I start second guessing. Fuck, did I use that word right, or did I just sound like an idiot? So then I go look it up. I'm like, okay, phew, I did use that word right.
It'd be even better if you used it wrong and the other person just was like they didn't know either. So
there's been plenty of times that's happened. There's been plenty of times that's happened.
That's funny.
Like, well, that word probably wasn't the best word selection for that conversation, but apparently the other person didn't know either, so.
No. Huh.
It made me just sound smart.
Yeah.
Because I use more than a 2-syllable word.
Hey, I like to do it every once in a while. Especially when I'm training people. I got a few big words, like force vectors and things like that I'll bust out to make me sound smart.
Force vectors.
Yeah, man. It's just, I got to keep myself looking down on them.
Speaking of ridiculous words, I had thought about this the other day. I got to have, because, I like to name jiu-jitsu moves. Like, I got the Teddy Roosevelt, which is the knee on the eye socket, basically. There's more to it than that, but it sums it up. Knee on the throat, knee on the eye socket, depending on the application. I need to come up with a move called we have one called the Soul Crusher, and the Settle Down Rowdy. I need the Chakra Crusher, or the Chakra Disalignment, or something like the Chakra Killer. I was thinking about that driving down the road the other day. I'm gonna name one of my moves the Chakra Killer.
It's good. I don't know what I'm trying to think, like what would be a good candidate for that, but yeah. I'll let you worry about it.
I'm gonna worry. That's been one of my concerns this week. Is trying to name one of my moves the Chakra Killer.
That's funny. It's funny how you start to name shit, man. Like, cause I got that fucking that pass I call the Double Trouble pass.
Double Trouble. It just makes sense to you. You got to do that shit sometimes.
We got the Wiggly Wig.
The Wiggly Wig to the Double Trouble pass to the Chakra Killer.
To the Chakra Killer. That's what we got to find, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps. I mean. It's funny too, like people laugh at Eddie for naming shit, but man, I hate being at a tournament and having someone yell out the name of the move that everybody knows, like, hey, go for this, or look out, it's like, well, now he knows. But yeah, dude, you tell someone to fucking go for the Wiggly Wig, that motherfucker ain't gonna have shit idea what you're talking about. Like, go for the Soul Crusher.
Hit the Chakra Killer.
Hit the Chakra Killer, right? Hit the Popolo Control. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like people would have no idea. So really, like, creating your own little gym nomenclature for some of the common moves that you can use. We got the Brazilian leg hump.
the Brazilian leg hump that's a good sweep.
That is a great sweep, man. I want to yell that out to someone so bad. But yeah, it's having a little gym nomenclature. It is actually probably a good thing to have on like a competition level, like for a competition team. Like, it just makes no sense. Everyone's sitting there screaming out
the same
shit. Yeah, go for the triangle.
I mean, you're gonna have your basics like your triangle or the Kimura or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there was a God, who was it, man? There was an MMA coach, high level, like UFC level MMA coach that was talking about that in an interview a long time ago. That when they'll go through a camp with one of his fighters leading up to a fight, to where they'll switch up the number call outs, for straight, when you're hitting pads, you got the 1, you got the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and everybody in the world knows like what the 1, 2, 3, 4 is. They know this. This straight left, straight right, hook, jab, blah blah blah. Well, he said they would completely switch that up.
Yeah.
Just completely switch it up, and that would be the focus of in every camp. It would be a little different. That way, the other competitors didn't know what they were talking. Like, when they'd be in the corner, hollering out, "Hey, give me the 3-4." That guy might be thinking it's this and this, where it's completely something different.
It only makes sense. It's really, I've always thought it kind of
who
odd.
the fuck, man? I wish I could remember who was that, but
yeah, you look at every other sport, man, and they go through great lengths to make sure the other team does not know what they're doing, so that they can speak to each other in a way that doesn't tip their hand. But then you look at combat sports, and we're just all like, everybody's just using the same shit, and it's different, because it's on a team. People can be there for the same amount of time. I think you probably, like, if you had a fighter and a coach working together, like, I'll bet like GSP and Faraz have, some
I'm sure they got
words for shit and some just some inside whatever. You've been working together forever, but that makes it tough if you're just a fighter and you're bringing in a trainer. And you're like, hey man, just so you know, I call this move the blah blah blah, and this move the blah blah blah, and so now, and you know, if they're not used to that, and the trainer's got to switch his, or the trainer's telling the fighter. So, but I think it's it's an underused thing. I don't see how yelling out "go for this" when everyone knows what this is the best way. So, anyways, yeah, thinking of names like the Chakra Crusher,
The Chakra Killer,
the Chakra Killer, yeah, the Chakra Diffuser.
The Chakra Diffuser.
And diffuse your chakras back out into the ether, bro. They may come back.
Fucking chakras, goddamn it.
So, all right. And then I told you last night, but we got the Conor Khabib fight.
Ooh, yeah, dude.
Coming up. I think that'll be
Fuck yeah. I think I actually looked it up this morning. What is it? October
6th in Vegas or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I am pumped for that.
That's going to be a good one for sure.
I hope it. God, man, I'm nervous. I'm nervous it won't happen. Like someone's gonna get hurt. Someone's gonna get fucking hurt or arrested or something.
Stupid.
Dude, something, man.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna get too excited yet, but I'm pretty fucking excited.
I will say I'm excited about the fight. I'm hesitant about the pre-hype lead up to it, because man, it is going to be so WWE over because of the whole fucking throwing the dolly at the bus. Remember how, like,
well, dude, that's a super fucking valid point, because they're already doing that.
They're already doing it. That's why I saw them announce the fight.
Yeah, that's how, like, they had their press conference.
Yeah.
And at, like, the beginning of the press conference, somebody brought that question up, and Dana, like, just flat out lied. He's like, oh yeah, like, something like that fight's nowhere near happening.
Yeah.
Like, the deal's hasn't been worked out. Like, I can't remember his exact words, but he said something to the effect that fight's it's nowhere near happening yet.
Yeah.
Then they did the whole press conference, and then they announced it at the end. So, like, come fucking on, man. They're already, like, really playing into the WWF type shit.
Trying to fucking...
And then Nate Diaz walked out of the press conference as soon as they announced that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he was like, because he said he wasn't going to come back and fight unless he got to fight Conor, the trilogy. And they basically said, well, Conor's not fighting. He's not coming back for a long fucking time. So he took that fight with Dustin Poirier. And then all of a sudden they announced Conor and Khabib. And Nate's like, what the fuck? And so he just walked out. And then I guess he threw out some tweet that said, fuck the UFC. I will not fight on this card. Fuck the UFC. So I don't know what's going to happen, man.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be...
maybe that's part of the... Dude, maybe that's part of the fucking hype. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. This is going to be my prediction.
Okay.
Is that the Conor and Khabib fight will not go down. Khabib will have to pull out. And then Nate will step up, and then we get the trilogy.
Yep.
That's the WWF spin.
That's
what's going to happen. I'm predicting the future right here.
Yeah, man, I
that's what's going to happen.
I can see that.
That's a perfect WWF move.
But they really want this fucking Khabib and Conor, because this is like, you can sell this as like a legitimate beef.
I bet you...
to the public.
I bet you the Nate-Conor fight would sell more tickets. Because the casual fan doesn't know who the fuck Khabib is. They don't give a fuck about Khabib. His style is boring unless you're a hardcore grappler. Like, I love his style. I love his chakra killing style. Just fucking crushes people. And I love it. My favorite fighter, man. But for your WWE fan, they don't give a fuck about that guy.
Yeah.
He's not exciting. He's not out there talking trash.
The only thing with the Diaz McGregor, there's no title on the line. And we've talked about this before. It's bullshit. And they don't care. I know we don't care, but that's like the only thing that I could see.
But if they switch that up, dude, if they switch that up 3 weeks prior to the fight, because Khabib has to pull out because whatever.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks prior, they pull that out, they will sell the fuck out of pay-per-views and tickets, and Nate and Conor. That's what's gonna happen, man.
Yeah,
I'm bummed. I want to see Conor and Khabib fight. I want to see that more.
Yeah,
but
I don't know, man. I think you're right. I totally agree with you that fight would sell more tickets, but I think that the UFC, they got to bring some They're trying to bring some legitimacy back to the belt. I think because without Conor, because that's Conor's belt. You know what I mean? Like, Khabib's got it, but everyone in the world is like, that's Conor's belt. Like, he never lost it. And so, without Conor coming back at some point and fighting, and I don't know. And so, I think that's why because you're right, dude, if they did the trilogy, they would have sold more tickets. So, like, why? But unless they're doing the whole...
It's coming.
It's coming.
That's my prediction,
All
man.
right. Go with it.
I'm going with it.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen.
All right.
There's going to be all this shit. Nate's going to be pissed off. He's going to be saying, fuck you. Ba, ba, ba.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep playing it out until about 3 weeks out. And then magically, Khabib's going to have to pull out. Nate will step in.
Okay.
We'll get our trilogy.
Heard it here first, folks.
I'm predicting that shit.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, either way, either fight will be a good
badass.
fight. So, I'm just...
But dude, I would be so happy to watch Khabib maul Conor.
I'll be interested to see Conor come back, man.
I want to see him just get mauled by Khabib.
Yeah.
But if he catches Khabib with that fucking laser left hand, that could be trouble. That's
trouble.
trouble for anybody.
Yeah.
But Khabib's a big motherfucker. He's walking around coming into camp at 190, 200 pounds. And fucking wrestling bears over in Russia.
Yeah.
He get a hold of Conor and just fuck him to death, dude. I can't. Oh, God.
I don't know, man. The Notorious. That guy's fucking... He's a smart one.
He wouldn't have any answer for Khabib. Once Khabib got a hold of him, he'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Super fucked.
Well, maybe he has an answer for not getting... I don't know, man. I want to see either fight. Either one we got to get. So, all right. I got some notes here.
All right.
I got another note here. So, have you seen the guns that shoot money for strippers?
No. God damn it, why not?
So, dude, there's a show on Vice called Most Expensivest.
Most Expensivest?
It is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It is hilarious. It's got 2 Chainz, who, like, I couldn't name a fucking song that dude's done.
I've heard of him.
He is hilarious. The show is, the way that they do it is fucking hilarious. But he goes around basically in the most expensivest shit. Right? What's the most expensivest drink out there? What's the most expensivest whatever, right? And so it's him going around
expensivest.
Getting fucking exposed. Okay, checking out the most expensivest. And so they got one most expensivest Miami version. And so him and T.I., he's like another one of those rappers I've heard of but couldn't tell you what he's rapped. They're getting the most expensivest treatment or a strip club thing. And so first off, they're sitting in the beginning and they just have this little outtake where him and T.I. are sitting there, and T.I.'s like, man, this better be fucking good. This is supposed to be the most expensivest. Like, what is going on here? This better be good. And 2 Chainz looks at me and goes, look, man, we gotta remember, we're not rappers. Okay, we're not rappers right now. We have to look at this from the average person's point of view. You know what I mean? And it's like, they're like, man, as a fucking rapper, dude, your idea of the most expensivest strip club experience is probably not in the realm of
normal people.
Normal people's, right. And that's what he's saying. Like, this is the most expensivest for normal people, bro. Remember, we have to pretend that we're not rappers right now. We don't know what it's like on the other side. But, dude, they got these fucking guns, these little electric guns that they can load up with stacks of $100 bills, and they pull the trigger, and it's just... Dude,
that is so awesome.
Just fucking... Dude, I was dying when I saw that.
Oh my god, there's somebody created and designed a dollar bill shooter.
Ah, yeah. Well, if you're shooting dollar bills,
a bill shooter.
A bill shooter.
See, that's my normal guy thinking.
Right.
I'm shooting dollars out of there.
Dude, if I got a gun to shoot shit, yeah, I'm gonna be fucking. That is hilarious, man. I was looking at that. I was like, yeah, I guess it does get tiring sitting there and just having to like use your hand to fucking flick it out.
It's so much more fun to have a gun.
You just want to sit there with a gun and like, yeah, dude, you got your other hand free to fucking smoke your blunt or drink whatever. And yeah, dude, I was dying.
I'll
man.
have to check that show out.
Yeah, the show is hilarious, man. It is definitely worth checking out. They've got like, oh god, some of the stuff on there. It's one of those things where like I'm trying to think of examples of what he's seen, and I'm just drawing a blank because I'm trying. But Yeah, you got to check it out, man. It's a fucking hilarious show. But I thought you would. I made a note of that particularly because I wanted to.
I'm disappointed I didn't know about the.
Yeah. So check that one out. I was cruising around the internet the other day, and I came across a belt, a jiu-jitsu belt, that apparently it wears down. As it wears down, it has like the next color under. So as the belt wears down, it starts to expose the next color belt.
Get out of here.
I swear to God, man.
You're making this up.
I wish I was. I actually spent about 15 minutes looking at it just to confirm that it was what like I was thinking they were saying, but it is, yeah, that is what it is, that they have instead of just white underneath, it's the next color. So you just wear down your belt, and the more you wear it down, the more it starts to expose the next color. I guess dropping a hint to your.
Did you buy one just to see if it
coach.
works? Did you order? How much do these things go for?
Dude, they're not cheap. They're fucking, because they're custom made. And God, I can't remember the company, man. They make like regular belts, and they're like high quality belts. But man, I'm gonna say that it was like $40-$50, something like that, in that range. So
I'm disappointed you didn't order one to.
I don't have $50 to
Test
drop
this
on
out.
a fucking. No way. Dude, unless it shows up in my BJJ box, I can't walk in with stupid shit.
Well, I'm not saying you can wear it to class.
That's fine.
Don't wear that to class.
Then how else am I gonna test it
I
out?
don't know. Wear it around the house.
Wear it around the house. I got it out in the fucking on the sidewalk, just rubbing
Do
it.
yard work with it and shit.
It's like a scratch and sniff belt.
Sleep in it, I guess. I don't know.
No, man. I'm trying to wrap my mind around like the mindset behind something like that. They had the option too to have like other things, so you could have it be like camo or whatever. So again, the idea was like as your belt wears down, it can expose like, you know, another something underneath. But it was billed as like a rank belt, like to expose like as you're wearing down your current belt, it starts to expose it.
They're self-promoting. Hey,
Self-promoting.
Self-promoting, I guess.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine someone in our gym wearing that. Like the first moment you started to spot like, what the fuck is that? What is that under your, is that blue under your white? What the fuck is going on here, man? What is going on here? You know what I mean? Like I can't even imagine that happened in our gym. Like
No.
that person would get belt shamed so
Belt
fast.
shamed. You're just gonna get murdered. Like, what are you doing?
Do not come in here with that.
You can't come in here with that.
No, so
You can't self-promote or
oh
demote.
my God. So again, I may have that wrong, but I spent a few more of my time than I really wanted to. Because when I saw it, I was like, no, come on, you're pulling my leg. And I was like, no, it fucking confirms. Even had a review or two of people who've used them allegedly. You know, you never know on the internet, uncontextualized information.
I can't see that making any sense
Nope.
in any real jiu-jitsu world.
I don't see it going.
I don't get it.
Yeah. And I don't even think they had it billed as like this will be your next belt too. You know, like it'll just all wear out and then you'll have like your fucking next belt and you'll just wear it. Can you imagine just like getting a fucking belt? It's like,
Yeah, how thick is
2
it?
inches thick and it's like a fucking gobstopper, right? You start it white and it's made so that if you fucking put in X amount of time on the mats, that by the time in 10 years it'll have worn down to the black. And that's just your belt.
See, dude, if somebody turned up with a belt like that, I would take it from them, give them their white belt back, and be like, listen, you have just fucking earned yourself a white belt until your black belt, like in old school days.
Yes.
That's it.
That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do? I got the self-changing belt. You just wear that motherfucker and don't wash it. It turns itself into a black belt.
Right.
It'll kind of look brown. It'll probably never look blue or purple. Sorry. It's probably going to look kind of brownish at one point, and then it might kind of look black. There's your self-fucking-changing belt. God damn it.
That would be interesting, man. You get the gobstopper belt.
That's your changing belt.
Got the different layers of color. So, anyways, all right. Thought I'd throw that out there. I thought you would enjoy that.
It's enough that's my irking note for the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like me with Bones, Thugs, and
Bone Thug,
Harmony.
yeah.
Which just for the record, I think is one of the most overrated bands of the 90s. And you and Kevin think is one of the better ones to come out. So we just have to agree to disagree on that one. But Bones, Thugs in Harmony.
See you at the crossroads, buddy.
See what I mean? I'm just like, we were talking earlier, I just can't see it. They're supposed to be thugs, man, standing on the street corner, you know, fucking dealing dope with their fucking nines in their waistbands, ready to cap a fool, and singing like, what you gonna do, la 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 la. I'm like, wait a minute, the barbershop quartet has gone gangster? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So, anyways.
I love the fact you get so wrong.
It annoys the shit out of me, man.
Oh, that shit cracks me up.
On to something a little more. So what I've been thinking, I don't know why lately, but it's interesting how the role of class changes as you progress through your jiu-jitsu career. You know, like because I don't know. I don't know. What do you agree? What do you have any thoughts on?
Well, what do you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah.
Just like how, you know, in the beginning, like classes, that is a lot of, like, that's the biggest thing. Like that's the bulk of your time. You know, you're wanting to make as many classes as you can because this is where you're learning all of the stuff, and eventually it gets to the point where you're like, okay, I'd rather, if you really had hit me, I'd like drilling and rolling are more the vehicle for progression than necessarily just attending class a bunch. So like in the beginning, I don't know, we probably touched on this, it's that kind of unlearning or unfreedom, but you're like, you know, going to class and learning the moves, but eventually, like, it's the three parts, right? Class, drilling, and rolling. I'd say when you start, like, that's probably the order of importance, is like going to class, and drilling and rolling, and that's probably like that's the order, and eventually those orders kind of change roles a little bit to where, like, you know, drilling and rolling can be more important for your jiu-jitsu progression. Not that it's unimportant, right? Like, I don't want to say that class is unimportant. It's just that something has to be most important. Everything can't be most important. And so something has to be most important, something has to be second most, or you can be like 1A, 1B, 1C, however you want to fucking do it. But that role changes a little bit of class as you progress. And I don't know, it's interesting for me because I'm at this point where, like, you know, you said it, like purple belt's that, you know, that teenage, you know, you're starting to come out of like being a child. And I still remember like killing myself trying to make as many classes as I could because the secret to the jiu-jitsu universe may be contained in that next class. And now I'm more like, I don't want to miss an open mat or a drilling session. If I miss a class, like, okay, I'm not happy, but I'm not upset. But dude, if I miss like a Saturday drill class or I miss like an open mat, like, that really, like, I don't know. I feel like that's more of a detriment to my progress. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of more fluid. Yeah, when you're white and blue belt, and depending on the individual, I'm just speaking broad terms. When you're white and blue belt, that is definitely the order of importance. Fucking class and drilling, and then rolling. At that point, like, you're rolling, you're trying not to get murdered, and you're getting exercise. There's not a lot of learning going on in those rolling sessions.
You just don't know what to do.
Because you just don't know what to do. You're just trying not to get fucking killed. Yeah, and then once you hit like the purple belt level, the role starts shifting to where drilling and rolling are probably a little more in the hierarchy of things, a little more important, or a little more beneficial, I should say, not important, maybe a little more beneficial. But I think it's, and then especially once you get higher than that, brown and black, drilling and rolling, and then talking to other high-level, you know, training partners, like bouncing ideas off them. Yeah. That becomes definitely more beneficial for you. But you got to be fluid because I think, like, at the stage you're at, like purple belt, you got to be able to, like, I agree with you. Drilling and rolling is probably more beneficial, but like still, there's going to be a time to where you hit a stage in your jiu-jitsu path to where what got you there isn't going to work to get you to the next one.
Right.
And so once you hit that, or once you start seeing that, then you got to go back to like being a white belt. Go back to the class, put a little more importance on those, because even though you think you're learning the same shit you've seen, dude, you're going to come across. You're going to pick up a little detail, whether the coach shows you or your training partner shows you, or you just notice something different. Like, oh, I never noticed I was doing it like this. Oh, that's why I'm doing it like this. You know, I don't know. You once you hit, because you will, like, you'll get to that point to where what got you there's worked, but now it's time to change. So you got to go back to the starting line. And go back to those classes and just fucking do the boring drills. Just drill the shit you think you got ironed out. Fucking drill it. Because that'll open up new insights to like, oh, okay, here I go. And that'll get you over those little humps. So I think it's kind of fluid. Like, I think at purple belt especially, those hierarchies are fluid. And then white and blue, they're not so fluid. I think brown and black, they're not quite so fluid. I think that purple is like that middle ground.
I think that's what it is. I kind of feel like this change, like this. I've noticed it.
Yeah, that purple's kind of that middle ground to where you're starting to see some really cool shit at brown and black, but you don't quite get it yet. So you got to go back to square one and really fucking get it.
Yeah,
and then that'll get you. Does that make sense?
I look at like class exposes me to. I might get a different idea or a different look, or again, like a different detail or something. I guess the thing with class though is how do I put this? You're a little bit at the mercy of what the class, like it's not your priority. Right. So eventually you reach a point in your jiu-jitsu career where you have to be a little bit selfish in like, okay, what's my priority as far as like what do I need to get better at? And that's where like the drilling and the rolling start to take on the importance, because now you know what you need to work on, whether it's, you know, getting better at something or you know, whatever, and then you're going to practice it when you roll, and then you go to class and they're going over, and again, there's value in everything, but it may not necessarily line up with what you're looking at, but then you're like, oh wow, that you learned something new. So that's the problem, is it sounds like the class always has value, right? And it has a lot of value. So that's not saying that the roles change, isn't saying that class loses its value. It's more just saying that it's just, you know, changing in the hierarchy some, and that eventually your path becomes more like, all right, you got to figure out what you're doing, what you need to work on, and then take steps to do that. Because we've talked about this too. People fall into the trap of always expecting for class to answer their questions. You know, they're going to class and then they're like, well, my jiu-jitsu's not getting better. I'm always having trouble with this. And well, coach just isn't like, you know, showing me the right stuff in class and what's going on. It's like, no, like you need to go seek some answers. You need to hit some drill time to fill in those things. So
definitely class never loses its importance. It just, the hierarchy shifts and it's fluid, it changes. But we've talked about it before, you know, jiu-jitsu is your own journey. And like if you're having problems with a certain area of your game, it's not guaranteed that class is always going to be taught towards that.
Yes. So that's what I meant.
You have to spend time, like, you still show up to class and you learn, you put the effort in. But yeah, if you're having trouble with a certain area, it's on you to pull your coach off to the side and ask a question or whatever the case may be. Do some research on your own or drilling on your own.
Yeah. That's exactly what I meant. Like,
but also your role as you progress in jiu-jitsu, your role within the class changes.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right? Not just the role of the class in your training. You partaking in class is going to change. That doesn't mean you need to be the fucking expert coach. Like after a coach shows something, you don't sit there and try to coach your partner to death.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fine line there too. We've all, from the weightlifting days, you've always seen the guy walking around the gym giving everybody fucking pointers.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. So yeah, your role within the class will change as your jiu-jitsu, but there's that fine line there too. That helps your jiu-jitsu game too.
Yeah.
Because you see somebody making a mistake somewhere, and then you can fix it. But then you start thinking, oh, do I make that mistake? Why are they
Helps
doing
you
it?
understand it better.
Or yeah, exactly. You know, you don't start learning something until you really start teaching it.
Yeah.
And then you start getting an understanding, because there's shit you do that you don't know why you do it or when you do it. And there's so many times still to this day, someone will ask me like, "What about here?" And I don't know. Come here, and I got to do the move. Like, oh yeah, I do it like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know off the top of my head. I just don't. I just can't pull it out. Sometimes I can, depending on the detail. But there's a lot of times people ask me questions like, "Well, I'm getting fucked up here. What do you do?" I'm like, "Huh, I don't know. Let me see." And then I'll go do it, and I'm like, "Man, why do I do that? I think I do it because of this."
Yeah.
And then that's really good for me, because later in the day, why I'm drilling or wrestling, live rolling, I'll get to that position, and it'll help me answer a question. I've done that a lot of time with our training partners or students, to where somebody will ask me a question, I'll give them an answer, and specifically while we're wrestling that day, I will get to that position on purpose so I can see what I do.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to them and be like, hey, I did it like this, and then it helps.
Yeah,
so.
forces you to learn it. No, that's a really good point. Like, that is, I would say that that is one of the biggest values of class as you advance, is you getting the opportunities to share some knowledge and help bring other people up. And we've talked about that, in the Fighter's Mind book, the Sam Sheridan book, and he was interviewing Frank Shamrock, and he said you need 3 kinds of people in your life to be the best martial artist you can be: someone better than you to show you what's possible, someone the same as you that you're coming up with, that you guys can push each other, and then someone worse than you that you can teach and bring up. And so, that's kind of that opportunity for a lot of people, is, going to class as a higher belt, especially like, one of the beginners class. And I hate using that word beginners class, because it puts this label on it. It's like, fundamentals or basics. It's not beginner's class, because
but that's okay to be a beginner. Everybody's a beginner.
It's okay, but I think that, again, psychologically, people are like, oh, that's the beginner's class, I'm not a beginner. And it's like, well, okay, we can argue that you need to always have the mindset of that I am, the beginner's mindset, and blah blah blah, and get onto this on a philosophical level. But the reality is, it's a lot easier to shift the because words have power, right? Well, just use a different word. Fundamentals, right? Now, do you need to work on your fundamentals? Like, yes. Do you need to work on the basics? Yes. Okay, well, then this class is for you still. It's not a beginner's class. And so, using the word that has the power to encourage people to keep coming back. But that's one of the best things you can do, is go to one of those quote-unquote beginners or fundamentals classes as a higher belt, because like you were saying, that's what's going to allow you to hammer in those details of those basics that are going to really help advance you. And that's where you're going to get the chance you're going to get the most exposure to new people, and you're going to get the chance to kind of help them answer some questions and help advance, help them come up as well. And I mean, it's really valuable to have higher belts in those classes. So, but yeah, it's just interesting, man. It's a journey. It's a really, and jiu-jitsu being such a long journey, it's just interesting how just things change along that line. So
it's a tough fucking journey too, man. It's not easy.
No.
It's not fucking, it's challenging. It's time consuming.
There's no guarantees.
No fucking guarantees. No straight line of progression. There's no simple equation, A plus B equals C. Like, it just doesn't work like that, man.
No.
Everybody's a little bit different. And yeah, man, it's a tough fucking journey, dude. It's worth it. It's worth the fight. It's worth the constant, progression, or attempt at constant progression. Because, man, on so many levels, just like, because it is a lifestyle, and when you get all consumed by it, like we are, you see it overtaking other shit in your life, and sometimes you gotta check yourself. You're like, all right, well, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Am I spending too much time here? Like, it's everything about it, man. Like, it's not. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know if I'm explaining it right. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's Yeah.
It's tough, dude. It's a tough activity, martial art, sport, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
It's
like,
tough on the ego.
Everything. But yeah, it's tough on the ego. It'll kill the ego, but you can, if you use it the wrong way, quote unquote, you can use it to just build that ego up too.
Yeah.
Choosing your easy rounds.
Yes.
Taking a round off and then choosing and then going with the tough guy.
Yeah.
You know, like you can do all sorts of shit to pad your fucking ego.
Oh, I know.
All sorts of shit.
Me and that ego have had a lot of conversations on the mat.
Fuck yeah,
For
man.
sure. Yeah, it's
The whole thing, dude. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah,
More
wow.
people just need to do jiu-jitsu. God damn it.
I know, right? But like we said, if more people did it, it would be different than what it is, which wouldn't give it the value that we want from it, right?
There is, but I think we're so far away from that scale getting tipped in that direction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, yeah.
We're so far away from that.
Yeah.
We could have millions more people doing jiu-jitsu and that scale still wouldn't tip.
No.
Just make society better.
Yeah. More people need to be working on their arm bars, man.
Fuck yeah.
Not worrying about fucking what some celebrity had for dinner, some bullshit, some uncontextualized information. So, all right, what else do I got here? Supplements. So started doing some more supplements. Got some creatine, some minerals, and branched chain amino acids. Just trying to expand the supplement line a little bit. But I was thinking, so creatine. Like, why we should microdose creatine all day long? I think.
What do you... Okay, explain. Before I ask questions, proceed.
So, well, one, just because microdosing is all the rage, you know, just the word. If I can say we're going to microdose something, it's kind of like saying something's from Russia when we're talking training. Mm-hmm. It just makes it more special. But no, I was thinking that, so we put salt in our water. Like, why not throughout the day, instead of taking like 5 grams of creatine at once, like, why aren't we sprinkling creatine in our water throughout the day and basically like microdosing creatine? Because if it's just cellular energy and it's just a supply of cellular energy, and you're using it all day long, then it would make some sense to, instead of macrodosing once, microdosing throughout the day. So
I think there's some logic to that, but
it's scary.
I honestly do, but I'm nowhere near scientifically inclined enough to answer that fucking question. I think the 5 milligrams in the morning is just super easy.
It is.
You know, you just throw it in something, drink it, you're fucking done. You don't have to carry your extra. You don't have to carry your canister. If you're gone all day like I am for work, I don't have to carry my canister of creatine. Every time I fill up a water bottle, sprinkle some in there. Just like it.
Do you sprinkle salt in every time?
No.
So just at home.
Yeah, just at home. You know, like I'll mix up like some different water bottles if I have some different supplements. Sometimes, like I got some amino acids. Like there's a couple of them I mix up and I throw in my lunchbox before I go out for the day. And I'll have creatine in one, and I got stickers on them so I know which one's which. Like this is my creatine one. I got a little salt in this one. Like I got a system. But that's work ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, like I mix them up ahead of time and throw them in my lunchbox.
Yeah.
But,
see?
So I kind of am to a certain extent.
Huh. So, yeah.
I got some because I'm not at home all day most of the time. So I don't have that luxury, and I don't want to carry a thing of salt with me. I don't want to carry a thing of creatine with me. Just turn it into this whole production.
Right.
So I do it ahead of time. Yeah. So I guess I kind of am. A little bit.
Yeah. I'm sure this is not a new idea. But I don't know why. The other day I was looking at it and I was like, man, why aren't we microdosing creatine? Like, why are we taking it all at once? Because it is just, because I was listening, there's a lot of like, you know, brain health benefits and stuff. So it's not just necessarily, it's just cellular energy. So, you know, every cell in your body uses the same basic energy, the ATP, CP pathway. And so if you're not, it's just more of that. So I'm like, I don't know. I'll try it. I'll let you know. If I get all swole from my fucking
you start getting
gains.
all jacked.
Yeah, go from skank banking to fucking whatever. What's the other one?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Skank bank.
So anyways, there you go. Microdosing creatine. That's my idea.
Seems logical.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
And you got your topical magnesium.
Dude, that shit's been a game changer.
I'm gonna have to try some. Yeah, like has been you still like kind of where you're sore or whatever. Just
Yeah,
rub it
like,
on.
yep. I think like the instructions on the bottle tell you to rub it on your legs and chest, but you can use it as a muscle rub. Like if you have something that necessarily cramps up on you or gets sore or whatever, yeah, you can apply it to that area. But yeah, it's a spray. It's kind of oily. Like I don't know if they put like a coconut oil. I mean, you have different types. The type I bought is a squirt bottle.
Yeah.
And so yeah, before I go to bed at night, man, I squirt like 5 squirts on each leg. Just kind of rub it in. Off to bed I go. Fucking game changer, man.
Huh.
Topical magnesium.
Interesting.
Heard it on a podcast from somebody much smarter than myself, and I was like, oh, let's try that. It's cheap.
Yeah.
It's relatively cheap as far as supplements or recovery goes.
Yeah. I'm gonna try that for sure.
Yeah.
It sucks, man. Some nights after training, I'm just like so sore. It
So
sucks.
it's hard to sleep,
man.
Yep, exactly. That's what I found the biggest benefit from.
Yeah. I'm like, last night it was one of those nights, man. After
You
the
can't get
fucking murderer's
comfortable.
row of
Yeah.
people, yeah, man, exactly. I'm on one side and I wake up because I'm so sore and I roll over to the other side and I'm on my back and then my wife's hitting me telling me to stop snoring and then I got to roll over on my side again and it's just fucking, some nights are, so you got me all interested in it. You said you're going to come out with our own branded Rob's Recovery Rub.
Rob's
Do
Recovery
R3.
Rub. The 3R to go with the R3. It's coming. I'll start making that shit in my kitchen. I don't know if it'll be FDA approved.
Probably not.
Probably not, but fuck it.
Yeah. Right
We're
on,
not trying to follow any regulatory rules.
No, me neither. So, yeah, man, I think that's about all I've got for my notes here. Just reading that book and getting through was it Dennis McKenna
Interview?
Interview.
You listen to that one?
Yeah. Still, I can't remember if I took anything good out of it.
Some of those get kind of deep in the woods.
Yeah, they get off talking about some interesting subjects too, and it is interesting that a lot of people, just how bad they hate Trump. He was one of those fuckers. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, it can't be healthy for you to have this amount of dislike towards one human being. No,
You know, it's crazy to me is like I'll hear people at work getting all fired up about politics and shit, and I really like, hey man, how much is that shit really affecting you?
yeah,
You know what I mean? And what's happening on that level of shit? Like, how is that affecting? How much of that is affecting your everyday life? Very, very little.
yeah.
You know, and you're letting yourself get all riled up about it and getting into arguments about it. Like, what is going on here?
Well, what was interesting to me though in particular is you're listening to this dude who's like, all into psychedelics and all into like what are psychedelics teaching us and love and understanding, and Donald Trump is the biggest piece of shit and he's hopeless and he'll never. It's like, this is like, wait a minute. Like this is completely opposite of what you're saying, like psychedelics have taught you. And so I just think that it's interesting that this dude has managed to get in so many people's heads and just take a giant dump. And they're just like letting him.
They let him rent that
Let him
space.
do it, man. Yeah. And it's like, wow. So anyways, it was just an interesting... Like that was probably like my biggest thing. I remember thinking like, man, do you hear yourself? Like everything you're saying right now is kind of opposite of what you're trying to like, love and understanding, but hate Donald Trump. It's like, right? It should be a fucking bumper sticker. I want to promote love and understanding, but hate Donald Trump.
You probably sell the shit out of that, dude.
So, anyways, well, right on, man. That's all I got. So, you got any other thoughts or?
No, none that I can think of worth sharing.
Whatnot. So yeah, we got our Grumpy Guy class coming up,
Looking forward to some training today. Go watch some fights tonight.
That's right. Yeah, Cameron's
Our
fighting
boy
tonight.
Cameron's fighting tonight.
And we got Sean, the other guy that trains out of our gym, that's fighting as well. So go see some good old local MMA fights.
I'm stoked to watch the Cameron fight.
Yeah.
What's so cool about that too is like he just loves fighting.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to fight. And he had a fight lined up.
That's right, yeah.
Dude pulled out or whatever. I can't
I think
remember.
the whole card got
the whole
canceled.
card got canceled.
Yeah.
Like, something, the promotion got fucked up. And he was training for a fight, and there was some local fights coming up. He called the promoter. Promoter was like, no, we really don't have anything for you. He's like, dude, I don't even want you guys to pay me. I will just sell tickets. Whatever money I make off of selling tickets is what you guys will pay me. And give me a fight. And they're like, okay, we'll get you a fight.
Yeah.
That's how much he loves fighting, dude. He just wants to get in there and smash somebody. Like, that's fucking awesome, dude. That goes to show you, like, that's just love for the fucking art and just fighting.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, fuck it, man. Just give me a stack full of tickets. Whatever I sell, that's what my purse is for this fight.
Yeah.
So, you know, get somebody across the cage from me.
Get going, man.
That's fucking badass,
I know, man.
man.
He does. He loves it.
That's the fucking warrior spirit right there, dude. So.
For sure. That's the kind of people I like to hang out with.
Yeah.
So that's why I like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So, all right. I guess we'll leave it at that note. We'll, we did have our paddleboard adventure last weekend. So, which was pretty fun.
We survived.
Got rained on.
I was a little, it was thundering.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned for lightning and hail, which we made it out without any of those things happening. But we were up in the mountains.
Yeah, man.
And it can fucking go from rain to hail real fast.
Yeah, there was a moment where...
And it was coming down good.
It started coming out hard. We were as far away from the car as we could get.
I got a little... There was a minute where I was a little concerned. Like, oh, god damn it. This could go so south.
Yeah. No, it is, man. Mother Nature does not have the same agenda as you. So, yeah. That was fun, though, man. Getting out on the lake. You realize when you're paddling on a paddleboard, distance takes on a new meaning.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to gauge distance across the water, especially if you're not a experienced water person. You know, we're not.
Right, we're not. I know. I remember that first point. I'm like, all right, well, let's just paddle out to that point over there.
45 minutes later, we're like, God, we're not there yet.
Christ, man, how far is that thing? It's like, oh yeah. Then the boats would come by and rock us, and we don't have the most stable paddle boards in the world. I'm beginning to realize that our green paddle boards are on the really small side.
Yeah.
So we saw those one fuckers out there on the hollow boards. It was like, dude was laying down, taking a nap, and his girl's like paddling the board. It's like, you know, and then they got equipment on it, all sorts of stable. They're not moving at all. We're sitting there like balancing. Like, all right. There was a couple points I had to just get on my knees. I was just tired of fighting the cross waves from the boats, but it was fun, man. We definitely got to do it again, but fucking scary low water levels.
We'll have to head up to Blue Mesa next time.
Yeah. I want to have a little more to explore. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But it was good. We survived, so.
We survived.
All right, well, now
That's
we're done.
it.
That was it. So, just didn't want people to be curious.
Oh, I'm sure
they
were dying to know what happened on our paddleboard adventure.
So, all right, well, that's it. We're going to get going and do some training and check in with everybody next week.
Cool.
All right.
See you.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Thank you all for listening. You can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It really does help and will allow us to keep putting out episodes. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, hit us up at grumpyguybjj@gmail.com. Also, go to our website, grumpyguybjj.com, and get signed up for podcast updates and get our free BJJ Improvement Starter Kit. That's it for now, so get on the mat, train hard, and talk to you all next week.
Down clown with a permanent rep, a hermit now, boom. Doggy stool, foggy, cool, got a froggy, I'll Molly dude. Melancholy Daisy do, hanging by the lace of their shoes. No trace of the tools, shaped into face, fuck the rules. Snooze, you lose. One eye always open, at times two, no clue, but soon a brief monsoon might give you a view to choose. Stay tuned, include, won't conclude. To the end is near, beware there's consequences for what you do. To me, demon, a devil of many levels, I keep on beating. For several of them rebels, me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and I.